Well, we missed you from media today with illness or whatever, so it's the first time we get to talk to you. Just how are you feeling with 4 days till opening day? What's the team like?
Well, it's time to go play somebody else. I've probably the biggest thing I can say is I've really enjoyed coming to work every single day with this group. They have been fun since August, since everybody got in. It was tough seeing them going away for Christmas, but when they came back in great shape. Had just a really short window of time because of the way that the NCAA mandates your schedule. You only get 3 weeks to practice. They've been great. They've been fantastic, and just ready to go play somebody else. Not a finished product by any means. Still got some positions that need to be that need to be won. Probably going to happen, kind of the way it works, kind of during the season. But I think it's time to start figuring some of those things out during the games.
Coach, last week when Coach Zaleski and the players were here, they talked about how business-like everything is and how there's that hunger, coming off of winning the Southland Conference tournament and everything last year. But I just want your perspective on just how how serious everybody's been and just everybody's hunger in pursuit of, another conference tournament championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you've kind of been in it a little bit, you've seen how teams respond to success, and didn't come from me, but it was something I noticed. Nobody's talking about last year at all. I think they showed up ready to work. There was never, hey, this is how we do things, or hey, we're trying to get back. It really wasn't any of those things from a daily talk standpoint. It was just, hey, let's get to work. I mean, it's been business, but it's been fun too. I mean, it's been a lot of fun to be around, whether it be practice, inter squad, whatever, off day, whether we're doing a pancake dinner, an auction, whatever it is. I mean, this has been a fun group being around, and I've really enjoyed them, and they've really wanted to learn. They've really wanted to get better. We've got great leadership. I've enjoyed the new group of guys, and what they've done. I think we've become a team pretty well as far as off the field and in the clubhouse. Probably, the next step's going to be, just figuring out how this team wins ball games, and how that's going to play out. I mean, we obviously, anytime in college you're going to lose some key guys, whether it be Carson Maxwell at third base, Aiden Anderson, Peyton McLemore, Shane Selman, those guys. You're going to always have some guys that you lose, but just figure out how this team looks, and get ready to get after it this weekend.
Do you know who you're starting on the mound yet?
Yeah, Friday night we're going to start Will Dion. After that, we've got some guys that we feel like that have a chance to that will start. I mean, could be anywhere from Brett Payne, Cale Bro, Danny Hecker, Cameron Foster. Haven't made a decision on that just yet, mainly based off of the fact we're playing a doubleheader on Saturday. But you'll probably we've got 5 games in 5 days to start off, so that means you're going to see probably everybody touch the mound in those 5 days. But I think Will Dion probably mainly has earned the opportunity to go do that. He's been our most consistent guy, and he's earned that chance to go Friday night for us. Excited to see what he does, and see him take. He's worked really hard. He hasn't rested on the laurels of being a preseason All-American or a freshman All-American or any of those great things that he did. He's put in great work. He's improved, and I'm excited to watch him go do his thing.
With last year and the success you had at the end of the year, is that the teaching now for all seasons is how to build to the end of the year?
Well, I think you always want to be hot at the end of the year. I think that's really what you want to try to do. I don't know if there's a way to do that other than stay healthy. And what you forget sometimes is when you reach the top is how hard it was to get there. I think in a lot of these press conferences we were talking about, man, can we get it going? Can you stay together? Can you do those things? It's really more about can you handle adversity when it's coming? Because in the midst of a 14-week season, there's going to be ups and downs, whether it be as a team, whether it be individually. coaching decisions, whatever it is, there's going to be those moments that you're going to have, and you got to make sure and you find a way to stay together. I mean, the goal, you would like to be able to know who you are as a team from the get-go, but that's not always the case. You're not always able to do that. You got to kind of figure out those things as you go. Hopefully, you can figure out who you are and how you win games without, and see who you can count on at the back end of the game, or who the defensive replacement is. You hope you can figure those things out without losing a ball game, but at the expense of. But you have to also have to be willing to lose the ball game to figure out what you got. So these first 4 weeks, kind of standard for us. We're gonna play a lot of guys. We're gonna pitch a lot of guys, and we're gonna try to see what we got out there.
The positions that you have to replace: catcher, third base, and then one of the outfield spots in the field, not counting the pitchers. Have you figured out who yet, or is it still, I guess, if you haven't figured it out, who are some of the candidates at those positions?
Sure. Starting the outfield, you don't really replace Shane Selman. A guy like that for 4 years, you penciled in the lineup, all conference, all region, draft pick, all those different things. As far as playing the outfield, Peyton Harden will start the year for us in center field. Julian Gonzalez will slide over to left, and Clayton Raspberry will start the year in right field for us. I mean, what he's done with his body and preparing himself to go play, and he's become a really, really good defensive outfielder. And so that kind of opens up a opportunity from a designated hitter standpoint. But that'll be how we'll start the year. Losing a Gold Glove guy, I mean, that's pretty cool to have a guy that was the top defensive third baseman. So how do you replace that? We've got a couple of guys that will get some opportunities. Wells Cooley has played well for us. Jordan Yates, a transfer from McLennan Junior College, but Jordan Yates will probably get the first shot at it coming out. And then catching wise, I don't think you can replace. You can probably replace from a production standpoint what Dustin Duhan did, catching, offensively, those kind of things. But the heart of the leadership, that's going to be the hardest one to replace. That guy was the heartbeat of the team, and for 4 years and what he did. But proud of what a couple of guys have done. Brett Welton has really separated himself to be in the mix to catch. And same thing, Skylar Thibodeau coming back from an injury. Been really proud of what he's done. Didn't catch all fall, coming back from the hip labrum surgery. We've had to limit his reps on that, but when he's been able to be back there, he's been doing what he did the first part of the year last year. So those two guys have separated themselves. They're going to be splitting time along with some other guys, especially to open up the year. Main thing with Skylar is going to be managing his workload and seeing how he responds from a physical standpoint.
So just a quick follow-up with that. Is it possible that Skylar will go into like the DH since you put Raspberry in right field?
I don't know if we would do that from starting out the year standpoint. I think we got some other guys that will probably lead with that, just because I know Skylar's going to play on the weekend. Whereas I wouldn't say it's if we were playing a championship game, this is what we're going to play every single game. Again, because some of it is you've got some guys that whether it be Cade Morris, Jackson Davis, Peyton Johnson. I think he's earned some opportunities coming in and coming back from an injury. We got to give some of those guys some opportunities as well, because you got to just with making sure the positions are filled out and making sure guys who are banged up right now, you got to be able to fill out the positions the right way. But trying to get those guys opportunities the first 4 weeks to see what some guys can do. So again, whether they produced in the inter squads, those kind of things, there's a reason these guys are here, and you got to try to give them some opportunities so the lineup can work itself out.
Do you prefer a settled DH or kind of rotating based on matchups?
I think it depends. And let me preface that with this: we're going to be very left-handed in our lineup this year. I mean, you're going to see 4 out of the first 5 guys are going to be left-handed to start off, on opening night. I mean, you got Reed Bork's left-handed, Peyton Harden's left-handed, Reed Bork's left-handed. I think I said that. So I mean, you're talking about see, you got Julian Gonzalez, Peyton Harden, Reed Gore, Clayton Raspberry, Jake Dickerson, Brett Welton, Peyton John. They're all left-handed. I mean, so you're going to see a lot of left-handers, and so it really depends on how they're able to handle left-handed pitching, and then which means some other opportunities for some of these right-handed guys to maybe slide in and get some opportunities. Some of the things I think are just going to work themselves out, just because in the first 3 weeks we've got double headers, 3 straight weekends, and so try not to really wear out some guys defensively, playing 18 innings in a day. So some of those things are kind of work themselves out. But again, I mean, credit to Clayton Raspberry and what he's been able to do defensively to be able to open up some of those options as well.
With Dion on the mound, this will be his first collegiate start as a Cowboy and as a college player. With him mostly being a reliever last year and only pitching probably 4 innings at most, do you see him being able to go farther? Has he had the stamina build up over this off season? Do you think he can go deep, or do you think it'll be a 4 or 5 inning outing for him?
Well, I think the goal is for him to be able to, I mean, ultimately when conference rolls around, to be able to go deep in the ball game. He's shown that. I mean, he's worked on it. You don't really stretch him out. You stretch him out to a certain extent in inter squads. It's really hard to simulate the adrenaline that kind of goes with that. But we're going to see a lot. Opening day is a little bit different. Being able to handle the emotions, the energy that kind of goes with that. So some of this is going to be kind of learned kind of as he goes in doing that, and that's why we're doing it, to see if he's going to have the ability to do that. So the jury's out, but I wouldn't bet against him.
It sounds like you have Dion penciled in to be one of your regular starters. So if that's the case, what's the bullpen going to look like? Because it seemed, he was obviously one of your rocks in the bullpen last year.
Well, that's actually probably one of the reasons, other than him earning that's one of the reasons of starting him, is we got to figure that out. I think it would be, kind of looking the same way we had Aiden Anderson. When Aiden Anderson was in the bullpen, there was this safety net in there. We knew if something happened, we could go to him and he could bail us out of a situation, and I felt like if, from a development team standpoint, if we were to stick Will in there would be this safety net that we would have. But there's no safety net in there right now. So we're gonna throw Will game 1, and he won't be available the rest of the weekend. So we've got guys that have pitched meaningful innings for us, whether it be Brad Kincaid, whether it be Brody Strahan, Brett Payne, some new guys coming in, Hunter Reeves, Jonathan Ellison, that we're going to see what we've got. We got to see how the game develops. When things happen. I think we saw that last year when Aiden Anderson had pitched extended against the University of Houston midweek, and then we played Creighton on the weekend. He wasn't available, which again, I kind of like those situations, just because you get a better chance to see what you have, and so we got some guys in new roles, some new players, and making their first Division I appearances, and so we need the games to go kind of figure out some of those things, but we just took the safety net out, just opening day, and so I don't know, as nerve-wracking as that can be, it's kind of makes it fun too.
Do you look at the opening weeks more so because you're playing 5 games in 5 days, what you're going to have in the year, or do you look at the weekdays mid-season as what you're getting as far as developing a pitching staff?
I think when you go in and look at it, it's always kind of beginning with the end in mind. And when I say the end in mind, the most important, the most critical part of your year is going to be a 3 games conference series. So you got to know who you want to know who your 3 starters are, who's your first guy to the pen, who's going to come in when it's going to be high leverage situation, those kind of things. And so I think with kind of looking, hey, this is the direction we're going to go. We know that Will has been good in those situations, or can we develop other guys in those situations? Are we going to have some other guys who can be starters that will be able to get you linked, get you into the 5th inning, 6th inning, those kind of things? Who's going to be able to bridge to the closer? Will we have a set closer? All those different things. Just trying to look at this group as a whole and seeing how they best fit, and not trying to box them in and go, well, I've got to have a closer, I got to have a left-handed setup guy. I think you want to have those things, but I think sometimes you can stunt their growth and really miss on what you have. I mean, I like our pitching staff. I like the guys, and I think when you watch the inter squads, a lot of them have been low scoring. You know, we have a chance to fill up the zone. We can give you different looks, and so I don't know how the games are going to play out. I think to have a chance to be low scoring, I think we can keep some guys from keep some teams from scoring. But you know, the games are just different. The games are just different with the energy and the you know, the team on the other side of it. And so it's really going to be, you know, again, the whole point is looking toward when we play Lamar, opening up, you know, conference. You know, when we go on the road back-to-back weeks for conference, is trying to see how these things are going to play out. So I know you play 4 games on a weekend and you got a midweek game, but you know, whatever that first stretch of games is, they're all kind of the same. They're all kind of the same as far as, you know, what they mean for you. And then once conference begins, those non-conference midweek games, they don't really mean as much.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Thanks, Coach.